Hi, welcome to the round 16 review. After the Blues get a thumping win against the Hawks, 17 goals 10, 112 to 7 goals 10, 52. It was cold, it was wet, it was miserable at the MCG, but it was a stress-free, good performance. They got the job done and then some. Honestly, going into today, I said to myself, I think it's going to be a bit uncomfortable. I always had confidence that we were going to win. There was an expectation that we were going to win. I actually thought going into the game, the bye helped us more than what it was going to hinder us, because I know that the record going into today was, 0-8, I think. But I don't think any team went into the bye with as much stress, negativity, pressure as what we had. And if I reflect on the totality of the game, we look like a side that really was refreshed mentally. And that was evident from the way that we moved the ball. The handball chains looked to be back. The kicking and hitting targets was there. I wouldn't say Hawthorn's pressure was poor. I thought they took it to us. I just thought we were the better side overall. I thought, their system, that's the thing about Hawthorn. Even when they lose, you still see what they're doing, and they're going to be held in good stead. But for me, it was all about us today. And that's just the way it played out. I thought it took probably about 15 or 20 minutes in that first quarter to get going. It was a bit of an arm wrestle, so to speak. And then slowly but surely, I thought we had dominated the first quarter without being totally dominant on the scoreboard. I think we're only up by 3 goals at quarter time. But some individuals started to look like themselves at their best. I'm talking about like Wiedering. I thought we started seeing another layer of Dave Cunningham's ability, especially in the first half. And then there was this trend of the guys being able to lower their eyes and hit targets by foot inside 50 or coming out of D50. And it just allowed more space to open up. And again, it looked like a pressure releasing performance. And, we spoke to a few people on the fan cams. We do a lot of hard work at the contest, and it's taxing. And then when we turn the ball over, it just compounds that effort. So, look, it looked good. It looked better. Second quarter was probably the best of the lot. Cripps looked to be back to his confident best, wriggling his hips and getting through tackles. Charlie setting up goals to Owies. The transition goal that ended up with Adam Chera, I think it was in the second, was a highlight. Getting goals in transition with handball chains from D50. Switching back, coming forward and finishing off the play. These are just things that we haven't seen for the majority of the year. I took a note sometime in the second quarter, and I'd written down, Cunners is the missing link. He's not necessarily the best player on the team, but there's something about him and Martin together. When you talk about the scoring chains, they just look to fit into the puzzle a lot more than most. And I think that's probably where the frustration comes from with them in the past. And that's because they just haven't been available. When they get back, they seem to get injured, or they've just had rotten luck, the two of them in different ways. And, today was an interesting piece because the small forwards are not there in Durden and Motlop. And I think we had probably concluded sometime at the end of last year or the start of this year that these are the small forwards. This is them. They have to play. You get games into them and then you sort of move on. Whereas today you see Fogarty, Cunningham and Jack Martin, and you see the experience that they have as footballers, and you see them do things a little differently. They're not as errant as what the inexperienced small forwards are and what they can be at times. So I thought that was a pretty good feature. I think Fogarty needs his own special mention because he was excellent today. I wouldn't even say he filled a role today. I would say he was probably one of our best players on the day. If you had to pick, 6 or 8 of them, I thought he was in that top quarter of players on the day. And so that was good. But I think that vision of seeing Sam Walsh streaming through the midfield, when I see these sorts of things, I know that something's happening and we're getting back to what our best might look like. Quarter 3 is where the Hawks came back at us, and I thought that was a very interesting 5 or 10 minutes for all of us. They kicked 2 in a row. Well, Doc kicked the first goal of the third, which was big. And then they kicked 3 in the row. And I had written down here, negative thoughts begin, ... And just for that moment, you're like, ugh, all right, how many of these are we going to wear? How many of these in a row are we going to wear? And, we're talking about a team that only is back as maybe start of last year or 2021. This was the team that, the 5-goal swing, the 5-goal runs. Even when we play well, we give teams the opportunity to come back into it. So credit. The Hawks kicked their 3 and then we responded. There was a key moment, which I noted in the third, Wiedering's one-handed pickup off the ground and then onto the boot. It just looked like a much more confident player. And I thought we held their attack pretty well, and just something we haven't been doing a lot as a team. Now, there's obviously the context of the situation. I don't know what to read into Hawthorn. I thought they were pretty honest today. But it's more about, for me, when I'm watching them now, our boys, it's more about their application, what the Carlton boys are doing, their mental application to the game. When you see 87 tackles for the game, you know that they've applied themselves mentally to the task at hand. When you see the handball chains, the running, the willingness to create energy and create something and take the risk. Obviously, when you get rewarded early in the game, it helps, but it was good to see them play with that spirit and that vigor. What does it mean? It means nothing. It means that we beat Hawthorn in round 16 in 2023. That's it. The task is so big for them to finish off the year, to finish strong, and to give themselves a shot. A shot. That's really what they've got to aim at. Put themselves in the mix to give themselves a shot to do something and get something. And, people don't want to talk about the F word. People don't want to get too carried away. I'm not getting carried away, but I think no matter what, they have a duty and a responsibility to play in a certain way to finish the season. There's 8 games left. As we talk right in this moment, as I film this, we are 1.5 games outside of the 8. Let's say 2. We're 2 games outside of the 8 with 8 more to play. So we take it week by week. We go to Freo next week. Big game. I think that's the one where you get through that, then you put yourself back in the mix. I think the last fortnight or 3 weeks with the bye, we've put ourselves so far deep into the rabbit hole that we haven't even looked like we're in the mix or in the hunt to be there in September. So got to get it done next week. Got to move on pretty quickly. Can't be celebrating this one for too long, even though it was a good day and grateful for that. And then we go from there. Oh, another thing. I was in Bay M17 and we won hot dogs today. I don't even like hot dogs, but we won a hot dog. So let that be a little something for the story of round 16, 2023, when I'm watching this one day when I'm old and grey. So yeah, that's that. That was my experience today. It was awesome. What about you? How'd you find the game? What do you make of it? Do you read into it too much? Or do you have that frustration that, where was this? Where's this been? I don't know. Share with me your thoughts on what you took away from round 16 and we'll chat about it there. Go Blues.